everybody? Welcome to another episode of How David Does Stuff. So the thermostat on my truck has been stuck open for I don't know how long, since like this time last year. But so far it hasn't caused any problems because when it's above 70 degrees, the truck gets up to normal operating temp in like 10-15 minutes. But now that the weather's gotten a little colder and it's like 40s in the morning, I'll make my 15-mile, 25-minute drive into work, and my truck basically never gets all the way up to temp. Like, I'll be lucky if when I'm backing into my parking spot, it's at full temp, which means that my heat kind of sucks. And in addition to my heat kind of sucking, my fuel mileage is pretty decreased. Right now, the last I checked, I'm only averaging like 15 miles a gallon, which off of 16 and a half is a pretty significant decrease. So I'm hoping that by changing out my thermostat, it'll get me some fuel mileage back and get me some hot heat a little quicker. This will be the fifth thermostat on this truck. The first thermostat from GM lasted me 60,000-ish miles. And then, despite the internet and the don't buy the ones from the parts store, I bought the ones from the parts store, and I have put 3 of those on so far in the last 34,000 miles, and they have all failed and they have all sucked. So this time I went and got one from a local GM dealer and am putting on the OEM AC Delco thermostat, hoping that that will give me a little more duration on having heat and it functioning properly, but only time will tell. Having said that, let's see what I have today as far as parts and what you'll need for tools to get this done. So for parts, I have my GM Vehicles coolant. I went ahead and got pre-mixed because in my experience, I'm only going to lose about that much. I'm only going to lose like a third of a jug. So I'll still have 2/3 of a jug left over. The only reason I don't have any left over is because last winter I used my other 2/3 of a jug to refill my brother-in-law's Tahoe when I changed his water pump. I went to one of our local dealers and picked up this part, but I picked it up in person, but I didn't buy it in person. You can see right there, $95.40 for the price there. I saw that online, and I had a meeting out that way toward that dealer that day. So I was like, I'll just swing through and pick it up on the way back, no problem. Well, I went through on the way back to pick it up and got inside, and I'm like, hey, man, I need this thermostat. Here's the VIN. Can you get me the part number and pull it for me? And I'm like, I looked online. It says it's about $95. And he goes, oh, actually, in my system, it's populating for, see that, 140 right there at that 139.50. He goes, actually, you have to order it online to get that price. So I literally stood at the parts counter at Cadillac Buick GMC and ordered the part and then waited like 2 minutes for the order to process through. And in the meantime, he went and picked up the part. But got the part, and this is the GM part number you're looking for. I've already popped it open to make sure that it looks right because this is a significantly bigger box than what you get from the parts store. It looks correct, but again, only time will tell when I actually go to put it on my truck here in a minute. In my case, I don't have a cold air, or I have a cold air intake installed on my truck, so I don't have the factory air box, so I don't have to move that out of the way. So I don't need a ton of tools to get this done. Really, all I need is I'll need a 3/8 and a 6-inch 3/8 extension to get down to it. And then I've got the cool Harbor Freight 10mm socket set there that's got kind of every 10 you could need. And I typically use the long, but I don't actually need it, so I'll just get the short off of here. Maybe. Put the wrench down so I can get it off of here. Got it. Took way more effort than it should have, but the socket set's new. Hadn't had a opportunity to use the 10. It was just on sale a while back, so I went ahead and picked it up. All right, so need 3/8 socket or 3/8 driver and a 10 millimeter. And really, you could probably use a nut driver if you really wanted to use a quarter with a 10, because it's just kind of right there once your air box is out of the way. And then I will also, oh, wrong drawer. Shows you how much I've used my toolbox lately. I will also need a pair of slip joint pliers to get the hoses off, because you have to disconnect the hoses from the top of the thermostat to get it off. I probably won't test my coolant today because this is my, like I said, 5th thermostat, so I've done so many of these. My coolant is fairly new, and you can torque it. I probably won't. Again, I've done this so much. I'm just kind of used to putting it on by hand. So let's get the truck opened up and I'll show you what all that looks like, and we can get moving on actually replacing the thermostat. All right, so your thermostat's right here. 1, 2, 3 bolts on the back. You got to get these hoses off, which nothing to it, but that's what your pliers are for. You're going to drop some coolant, which there's not really a whole lot to do about it, but luckily the coolant's not like poisonous to animals like it used to be, so it'll be fine. Your temp sensor's right here beside it. They suggest you replace it too, but I replaced it last time, so I'm not doing it again this time. And last time was the first time I replaced it in the other 4 changes. So no big deal. It seems to have worked, other than last time where it wouldn't let my radiator fans cut off and they killed my battery too as it overflowed. But let's get this taken off of here. Show you what it looks like. Got it most of the way off here. Lost quite a bit of fluid. I put a catch bin under it, but probably didn't help a whole lot in my experience from doing this before. I've done it in a parts store parking lot to get my truck to quit being a piece of crap. All right, got it out. That's the old one. And I'll chuck that on the ground. New one here. Gonna go in, same orientation. Make sure that O-ring comes off. Same orientation, gonna face forward just like the one that came out. Just line it up. And finger tighten your bolts to get them started, to hold it in place while you work. Again, if you have the factory airbox, there's a bunch of crap right here that you got to take out to get to it, and that makes this process a little more arduous. It would probably make it even more annoying than it is for me. But really it's an annoyance level thing at this point. This is not a time-consuming, difficult task for me anymore. I've done it entirely too many times. It's more of the just general annoyance at having to do it than it is that it's a actual problem with these trucks. But you know, all of them seem to have problems, and if I were to have to buy another truck today, I don't know what I'd buy. I can't say with any certainty, even though this is my, I don't know, I had a Suburban, a S10, another a 15 4.3 Silverado, and then this truck. I can't say I would buy another GM product outright at this point if it's not going to be a like a 3/4 ton diesel, because even the gas engines, the new ones, have all sorts of problems with acceptable engine oil consumption, which is absolute garbage. There's no such thing, in my unprofessional opinion. I shouldn't have to be putting oil into my new truck at gas stops. All right. And just work your way around, snugging them down. You don't want to overdo any one before the others, because the housing is plastic. So just keep working your way around, tightening them. I think, if I remember right, these do have a torque spec. It's something like 13 foot-pounds or something incredibly low. But just, again, work your way around seating it. Don't pull real hard. We're really talking nice, easy, hand tight here. And then all you got to do is plug your hoses back to it. Small hose goes first. Small hose goes, I think I went over the top with it one time, and I think that's wrong. I think it goes under. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like in a second. I don't remember, to be completely honest. Oh, good. The plastic nipple from the other one broke off within the hose, so I got to pick that out. All right, so what I did to remedy that, so I just took a wood screw and hand tightened it in there and pulled it out. But as you can see, it broke off that little nipple there. All right, let's put this hose back on. And really, I'll probably want to do similar to what I had set up already and rotate this hose clamp around as I come down with it. So that next time I can get to it, because at this point I'm fairly certain there will be a next time. Alright, so that hose clamp's on. Feels nice and secure, but looks like the existing rings don't necessarily line up. So let's snug that around, make it look like it did. There we go. Alright, and then big hose. Gotta go under, right? Yeah, gotta go under from the wear pattern. All the way down onto it. Get the slip joints open back up. And get a hold of it here. Get it all the way open. There we go. And get it set back where it was before. Get this hose clamped close. Go. All right, nice and tight. Nothing's moving. Reinstalled the thermostat housing. Lost quite a bit of fluid here. You can see from the tank we're way low. It's just kind of dripping there. So open her up, and we're going to refill the tank. And then even once it's refilled, going to have to turn the truck on, run the heat, let it get up to temp. So it'll suck it into the heater core to make sure we don't have any air pockets and everything's good to go. Brought a small little funnel just to help me out. And then, don't know if you knew, but these little tabs on here, you can take these little tabs and use it to tear your little aluminum foil off there. And pour it to it. I'm going to give it a generous helping and then take a step around and see what we got. We're making progress there. And see if I can pour from this side so I can see the line at the same time. Keep in mind, the vehicle's going to smell like burning coolant because it's now all over the bottom of the frame. But, you know, such is life. Unfortunately, there's nowhere else for it to go if you don't drain the whole system first and open it at the low point. And no reason to do that in your driveway to change the thermostat. All right, that's our cold fill, supposedly. That took, call it half a jug. And put this cap back on, give us a little closure in the system. You can see pumping the hose. There's probably some air in there, but let's get the truck started and see what we got. All right, so the truck is now up to temp. I had to make a quick lap around my neighborhood to actually get it to go up to temp. It set my driveway running for, I don't know, 8-10 minutes, and it's 70 degrees outside, and it just didn't want to get all the way up to temp, so made a quick lap around the neighborhood. It's up to temp. Now that it's up to temp and the heat is blasting, it should have sucked some of that coolant into the heater core, so the coolant reservoir should look a hair low. And you can see where I dumped some coolant on the ground because the pan that I had under didn't really catch anything, and the coolant reservoir is low. Everything's fine, nothing's leaking. You can feel the coolant running through. Big hose, little one is hot. So now all I gotta do, cut the truck off, let it get cold, and I'll top off the coolant reservoir and should be good. Another episode of How David Does Stuff. If you liked the video, please like it down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of me messing with stuff. And obviously things going wrong, because in the intro I told you this was going to be an easy little project because I've done it multiple times before, and still the little plastic nipple broke off and had to fish that out of the hose and added some complications, and it seemed to drop more coolant this time than normal. But you know, such is life. Truck's fixed. Hopefully that fixes my heat problem and I have nice hot heat when I am 10 minutes into my drive to work instead of about the time I'm pulling into the parking lot at work. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.